Here's some tips on how you can improve your communication to create more meaningful relationships, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. These tips that I'm going to share with you will enable you to improve the way you communicate with the people around you. And it can be the personal relationships, it can be family, it can be friends, it can be the staff that you're managing, or it can be people that are superior to you, or it can just be your colleagues. These little tips will help you to give more valuable feedback, both positive and, let's say, constructive. That will be helpful. Now, the valuable benefit of improving the way that you provide feedback, there's many reasons why it's going to be helpful and important. So number one, it can enhance your positive relationships both at home and at work. It enables you to manage performance. Now, this is obviously mostly relevant in a workplace, but also when you're a family, when you've got housemates, when you're a team, it can help the performance of the collective and the team when you provide meaningful and valuable feedback. It's going to definitely increase productivity around you, and it's also going to prevent really damaging conflicts from occurring. So getting on top of how you give feedback will really help with that. It's also going to improve your workplace culture if you adopt some of these tips. So here's how it works. Let's start by giving positive feedback. Now, why do you need to give positive feedback? The example I give to people is, how often do you tell the people around you in your personal life that you love them? If you don't, yes, they know that you love them, but telling them also enhances the relationship, just reminding and reaffirming what they probably already know. Likewise, in a workplace, reaffirming the positive behavior, the positive actions of the people around you helps maintain and keep that healthy within that working relationship. So here's some tips. Here's a formula of how you can make that more effective and more valuable to the person that you're giving the feedback to. Number one, be specific. It's no use just saying, well, thanks for that. That was great. The person you say that to is likely to go, what did I do? You need to be specific about the thing that they said or did that you appreciated. Number two, you've got to tell them what impact it had in that moment so that they understand why that was valuable, helpful, or supportive. And thirdly, make sure you tell them the long-term advantage. What's the long-term advantage from that thing that they did? So here's an example, and I'm going to put it in context of, let's say, a home situation. You could say, thank you for doing the dishes. It really freed up my time today, and it's meant that I was able to get to the hardware store just before it closed to get those washers to fix that leaky tap. That could be an example of following that formula that is more valuable to the person that you're giving the feedback to. Quite often, people avoid giving what we commonly call negative feedback or constructive criticism. There's ways that you can give feedback to people to let them know that you're not necessarily happy about something that's occurred. Whether it was something they said or did, there's ways that you can give feedback. No point saying to somebody, I didn't like that, or I didn't like the way you spoke to me. You need to be specific. What was it that they specifically said that didn't work for you? You need to let them know the impact in that moment. What did it do in that moment? Why didn't you like what it was that they said? Then you need to get specific again. No point telling them what you didn't like. Tell them what you would like them to do. Give them some advice on how you would like them to do something differently. And again, it could be something they said or something that they're doing around you, whether it's at work or at home, a particular activity or task. Let them know how you would like it to happen in the future and be specific. Once again, tell them what the impact would be in that moment if they did that thing for you or said that thing. And once again, the long-term advantage of them doing the positive thing in the way that you've requested. So to give you an example, let's say somebody's made a joke that's offended you in the workplace. I'm going to say, let's say it's a joke about grey hair, because I've got grey hair and that's very personal. What I would do is say to my colleague, you know that joke that you made about grey hair before? I felt like in that moment that you were singling me out because I was the only person in the room with grey hair. Everyone looked at me and laughed, and I felt like the joke was on me. Can I ask that when we're making jokes in the workplace, really love it, it helps lighten the load, can we make jokes not about personal appearance, but maybe make some jokes about the workplace or the kind of work that we're doing, so it's not too specific. That way it's really going to lighten the load for everybody. It allows us all to connect, and the long-term effect is that we're all going to get along and no one's going to get offended, and we can just keep the space really light and happy. If you could do that, that'd be great. Would that be okay with you? And asking the question at the end of that request, would that be okay with you? Is that okay? Is getting their buy-in to that request and asking them to participate in it. Now that's a pretty detailed formula. Specific impact, advantage. Hard one to remember when you need to give negative feedback. Even I'm struggling to remember that one. If you can remember that formula, great. But here's a really simple one. Here's a really simple cheat for it. Not terribly popular with a lot of people, but very common, very helpful, and very useful. It's called the poo sandwich, or otherwise known as KKK. It is give them a kiss, give them a kick, give them the kiss. Poo sandwich, nice white fluffy white bread, horrible yucky stuff, nice white fluffy white bread. So when you need to give negative feedback, rather than slamming them with it, saying, hey, I really value your advice, could I ask that you don't give it to me in front of the team when we have a team meeting, rather do it in private? I really appreciate the feedback that you give me. It really helps me with the job that I'm doing. So really nice. Hey, I really appreciate the feedback you give me. It's really helpful. Can I ask that you don't do it in front of the team? Because I really appreciate everything that you do for me. Kiss, kick, kiss. White bread, poo, white bread. Hope you find that helpful. How else do you provide feedback to the people around you? I will say, if you do have to give negative feedback, never give it in an email or over a text. Always in person or on the phone or Zoom call. You never want to be doing it via text because it's so easily misinterpreted. So I'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts and comments about feedback, how you deliver it, what's worked for you. Have you ever had any mishaps, or have you had something that's been totally misinterpreted? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this. Please comment below.